G'day legends, breaking news in this alternate timeline that is split away from the current MMA world. It is May 2025 and Jon Jones has been stripped of the UFC heavyweight title. Somehow through some chance of the swirlings of eternity, Dana White is back. Dougie White is back in the driver's seat of the UFC and I'm giving myself 12 months to save the UFC heavyweight division. That is the challenge for today's video, boys. If I was in command of the UFC, how would I fix the UFC's heavyweight division in 12 months? And I'm going to be doing something crazy here. I'm going to be using the power of promotion and matchmaking. Yeah, rather than spending $30 million on Jon Jones to fight once a year and then maybe be guaranteed to lose against Tom Aspinall, rather than giving Jon Jones $30 million to have his head kicked in by Tom Aspinall, I am actually going to be curating and matchmaking the UFC heavyweight division while trying to inject a little bit of promotion back into it, rather than just inviting some blobs into the Apex for the Contender Series and just sort of seeing what happens, mate. No, because let's be honest here. There have been talks in the past about shutting down UFC divisions before. It has happened. Famously, in the past, the UFC lightweight division was just completely shut down. I don't believe a contest happened in the UFC female bantamweight division, or at least Amanda Nunes didn't compete in the female bantamweight division for well over a year, maybe 2 years. There were negotiations with the great Demetrius Mighty Mouse Johnson about shutting down the flyweight division. And the reason that I wanted to do this is because so many MMA fans out there have this apathy towards the UFC's division, heavyweight division, when we talk about Jon Jones holding up the line and Tom Aspinall not being able to compete. The amount of times on the live streams, the amount of comments that I've seen on Twitter of people saying, who cares, heavyweight is dead anyway. Heavyweight is dead because it has come to a grinding halt at the top. The last interesting thing that happened at UFC heavyweight was Stipe Miocic versus Daniel Cormier trilogy. Until then, it has just been a stalling negotiations between the UFC and Francis Ngannou, and then trying to consistently prop up Cyril Gane, and now Jon Jones has done this to us. It is because the UFC has just been left, the UFC heavyweight division has just been left to rot, that you and I and the fans out there, we feel so much apathy towards it. So we are going to be injecting some much needed steroids, figuratively, into the ass of the UFC heavyweight division. That's what I'm going to be doing. Right, so Jon Jones is cut. The UFC is saving $30 million. Dana White has been fired in a hail of shame and tomatoes just being lobbed at him as he walks out of the Apex. The crowd is still there, peacefully protesting from the protest that we're going to be having on June 27th. They're throwing tomatoes at Dana White. His head's getting redder and redder, and Hunter Campbell calls up Dougie, and Dougie White is now in charge. First things first, I'm calling up Tai Tuivasa, my Australian mate. I'm calling him up, and I'm saying, Tai, get yourself over to South Africa and get your fucking fat ass on a treadmill. And if you stop running, Drickers' coach is going to hit you with the fucking cattle prod. Like, you want to keep jiggling? Keep jiggling, brother. Or just be done on the roster today, tonight, done. By the end of this phone call, call me back on Friday. That is my first step as the new promoter of the UFC. Tell Tai Tuivasa, get on a plane, lose some fucking weight, tell Drickers' coach to cattle prod him, or don't be part of the UFC anymore. Don't care, Tai. Make up your own fucking mind. Right, now, step number 2 is UFC 320 is cancelled, right? There are talks going around about how the arena that the UFC wants to hold UFC 320 in isn't even done being built yet. So we might be moving UFC 320 back to America. We're going to have MMA Noche again, UFC Noche in America once again. We're done. We're done with UFC 320. We're done with pretending that Mexico matters. Okay, I'm sorry, Mexico. Get a champ, and then we'll do a pay-per-view over there. That's when you'll matter. It's done. From now on, UFC 320 is going to be happening at the O2 Arena in London. And if we can't get the O2 Arena, I don't care. We're getting a arena, a venue in London, okay? And it is going to be England versus Paris, Tom Aspinall versus Cyril Gane, with Alexander Volkov as the backup fighter. I will return to stage 2 of the plan at a later date. We will dig more into that. Step 3, Eddie Hall. You are instantly hired by the UFC as a brand ambassador, as well as 20 models with just giant tits, giant tits, which I will also get to as why that is important later in this video as well. Now, Cyril Gahn versus Tom Aspinall, that is getting a face-to-face round table. Straight away, the second that it's announced, they're doing a face-to-face roundtable hosted by Chael Sonnen. This will probably happen at International Fight Week, an hour or two before the press conference, so the fans, they can cheer, they can talk shit, we can actually start building hype about this. And you need Chael Sonnen to be the one moderating it, because Chael Sonnen knows how to work a crowd. And when Tom Aspinall starts being really nice to Cyril Gahn, Chael will be able to fire him up and stir them up a little bit. So Chael Sonnen is now being brought in to help lead the marketing of the UFC to fan interaction with the fighters there on stage, because the fighters have no personality. So now they're going through Chael. And then stage 4 is the heavyweights. New heavyweights from around the world are being poached from the talent pool, and they're going to be forced to fight our current rankings of blobs in the UFC division. And because of that, I'm going to be holding a press conference. I'm going to be holding a press conference. Again, it's going to be hosted by Chael. This one could be at UFC 318 or UFC 317, maybe a day after the press conference. Like, remember a couple of months ago, we had a UFC 316 press conference for some reason. Remember, I think it was in Miami. And we had an extra press conference where Juliana Pena and Kayla Harrison just yelled at each other, and Sean O'Malley just gave that dead air answer about how he's so excited to fight again. Like that. After we have a press conference for UFC 317 or 318, probably 317, because I need to get the division moving. I've got 12 months until the division is shut down. I am going to bring out one by one, all of the new fighters that are being welcomed into the UFC roster, as well as a little highlight package for when they walk out. And then there is going to be fan interactions. You will be able to ask questions to these fighters, and Chael Sonnen will host it and MC the night. That way, you, the fans, get introduced to the new fighters. But that is not the only way that we are going to be interacting with the heavyweight division to try and drum up some interest. Because I know right now, unless you are a gambling addict, betting that the fight is going to go over 2.5 rounds with 2 blobs in there, you couldn't give a single fuck about the UFC's heavyweight division. And I'm going to change that shit. And I'm going to change that shit by going all the way back to old promotional tactics. Yeah? Do you remember P.T. Barnum, the one that convinced Americans that eating bacon in the morning was a good idea? Yeah? We're going to get real P.T. Barnum with it. This is where Eddie Hall and the big-titted ladies come into it, okay? Remember back in the day when the UFC really wanted to sell us the idea of Francis Ngannou? He hit harder than a forward escort. Well, what we're going to do is get a bunch of kids and a forward escort. No, what we're going to do, and this is corny, this is really corny, this is very corny, it's very childish, but I swear to God, it's going to work on social media. From now on, at every single crowded event, from now until maybe UFC 223 for the rest of the year, from every single crowded event, what you're going to do is get 2 or 3 heavyweights from the roster, from our current roster, plus the new heavyweights that I'm going to be introducing to us in this video, and get them to meet and greet with the fans and the models out the front of the arena. In front of the arenas, like, you know how when you go to sports events, they have merchandise stands there and drink stands there and magazine stands? There's a bunch of shit set up in front of the arena. There's usually big red 3 letters UFC, and you take photos in front of it. Well, like there was at UFC Fight Island, where there was that fake cage that they set up, we're going to set up a fake area where you can interact with them, all right? And the reason that the models need to be there, the reason that girls with big tits need to be there is the exact same reason that girls helped sell cars in the 90s. Yeah, beautiful women help sell shit. It's just the way that the world is. Like, we are selling to a market of men. You're a man. You're a man. You're a man watching this. You are a man. 99% of you are men watching this. And you like tits. Yeah? So you see tits, you feel good. Whatever is next to a set of tits makes you feel good. You associate the feeling of feeling good with what you are seeing next to the set of tits. So you see fat heavyweights now, and now you will start to feel good. This is a very old trick, and you better fucking believe we're going to be implementing it. Okay? So, P.T. Barnum style, You got the girls there set up in this sort of like fake cage area, just meeting and greeting with the fans. Like, and I mean activity-wise, make it look real sideshowy. Like, there's a row of heavy shopping bags filled with sand, and who can run up and down in a certain amount of time and get more bags across the line? The heavyweight, the fat UFC heavyweight, the athletic heavyweight, or the regular MMA fan? Yeah. You're there running next to Mick Parkin and Eddie Hall, or there's arm wrestling going on in one section. You're there arm wrestling Marcin Tybura. Who can get him down? Yeah, there's deadlifting competitions between you and Pavlovich. Yeah, there's one of those boxing machines. Again, like Tai Tuivasa's not there because he's running. Tai Tuivasa is never fucking invited to one of these. He's being cattle prodded in South Africa. But one of the new guys that I'm bringing in, he's there. You guys are smacking the boxing machine, yeah? And if anyone, there's like friendly competitions going on. And if any of the fans beat any of the heavyweights are going to let you win sometimes. Then the girls with big tits are going to give you like tickets to a free Apex event or a coupon that gives you the next 3 pay-per-views completely for free on ESPN Pay-Per-View Plus, ESPN Plus, right? So that is how we are now bringing the heavyweight interaction to the hardcore fans that go to MMA events. P.T. Barnum style, bringing the fans and the heavyweights together, and then we're introducing the new heavyweights to the fans at press conferences with the mic skill of Chael Sonnen, and then we do need to actually get into actually matchmaking heavyweight, because it's not all just gimmicks, even though, you know, heavyweight has always been a bit gimmicky, all the way back in the days with Pride. It's been a bit gimmicky, but there is also solid matchmaking to be done. So, when we are selling UFC 320, England versus France, we are also selling Alexander Volkov as well. In the background of all the embedded and all the footage that's coming out, he is involved in the build-up as this lurking figure, as well as this new crop of heavyweights that's been introduced. There was a vibe back in the day when Strikeforce came over to the UFC, and it was like this. The UFC has to defend its reputation against Strikeforce. That's what's going to be going into this marketing. It'll be like UFC heavyweights hold the line, and we'll just keep repeating that over and over again. Just keep repeating the same sentence like a politician in the build-up of all of these matchmaking fights that we're going to be making. Yeah, UFC hold the line, right? Now, as we start to have this happening, right? When these new heavyweights fight the old crop of heavyweights, the current crop of blobs, they are never ever to be in the apex. Never. Heavyweights need a crowd. They need a crowd, okay? So this is going to be on a pay-per-view feature prelim, or if it's a fight night crowd, first fight of the card. First fight of the fight night main card. First fight of the fight night main card, or if it's a pay-per-view, the feature prelim. So it's for free on ESPN. Don't put it behind any paywalls. These guys are not going behind paywalls. We need them out there, loudly and often, and preferably surrounded by tits. Tai Tuivasa, you're not invited. You keep fucking running, you fat cunt. So, starting off with, and I know this guy's already on the roster. But we're going to be bloody starting off straight away with our very own. He's already in the UFC, but then we're going to start to bring in new ones. And I think the older that you are, the higher up the rankings you get match made, right? And now here's the thing, right? As we get into some of the matchmaking and the ideas for bringing in new heavyweights, not all of these guys that we're going to bring in are going to make it in the UFC, but that's okay. We don't need them all to make it in the UFC. The problem is right now when you've got Jailton Almeida, Curtis Blades, Alexander Volkov, Pavlovich, and Cyril Gane. They have all essentially fought each other to death already. So while we have got Tom Aspinall versus Cyril Gane and then Tom Aspinall versus Alexander Volkov, while we have got that going on, we need something to happen in the heavyweight division. And the UFC heavyweight division has only got about 27 fighters in it. There's not enough time to build the division. You've already just rotted it out from its core. So we need to inject some of the best talent that we can find into it just to mix shit up, to buy us the time to figure out what's going to happen. And by the time Tom Aspinall fights Cyril Gane and then fights Alexander Volkov, you will have months of fighting already going on within the heavyweight heavyweight division that you can build from there. So straight away, Taliesin Teixeira, welcome, great. You've been in the UFC. You've had one fight in the UFC, but we have got to get you moving. If you're not aware of Taliesin Teixeira, this is Taliesin Teixeira. He's 8-0. He's 25 years old. He's young. Yeah, so we have time to build him. So just get Taliesin Teixeira in there against Justin Tuffer as quickly as possible. Just fucking knock out either of the Tuffers. Get him in there, knock out a fucking Tuffer. Has he already knocked out a Tuffer? Probably. Who else would you give him in your first fight in the UFC? Of course, he's already fought Justin. Give him the other fucking Tuffer. Of course, I was like, I bet they've done this. I was like, the second I said it, and I'm like, he's fought once already in the UFC. I bet they gave him a Tuffer already. Give him another fucking Tuffer. It doesn't matter who you give him a shit cunt real quickly, because we need activity from Taliesin Teixeira. Next one up, 10-2 MMA record. No idea how old he is, but his name is Dmitry Vasenko. He's a Sambo champion from Russia that's converted over to MMA. He can't be that fucking old because he started fighting MMA when I was looking at this back in 2019, right? No one starts fighting MMA in 2019 and is 43 years old, right? So he's got to be under 40. He has to be between 30 and 40 at the very least, yeah? So Dmitry Vasenko at 10-2 in professional MMA. He's going in there against Waldo Ortiz Acosta, right? Straight away before the end of the year, he's in there against Waldo Ortiz Acosta. But next up is Phil DeFries. Now, if you watch KSW, you know who Phil DeFries is. He's, as you can see, 26-6 in professional MMA. He's the KSW heavyweight champion. Now, in heavyweight, you can be successful all the way up until 40, 42. You generally get 10 more years on your career rather than some other guys. But he's already had a bit of a career. I think he's already quite old. Where is he at? He's 39 years old already. So we got to get him right into the mix right away. So we're doing Phil DeFries from England against Pavlovich straight away. And I'm interested to see what's going to happen. Doesn't matter if Pavlovich wins or loses. Doesn't matter if Phil DeFries wins or loses. Again, we've got $30 million from not paying John Jones to play around and start paying these guys. And we just need something to happen. Next one up, Sergey Dukhanov. 21-3 in professional MMA. Russian. 41 years old. That means at max, we've got 2 years. But look, not Blobular. Not a blob. I need him in there against Curtis Blades immediately. Now you've got DeFries versus Pavlovich. You've got Sergey Dukhanov versus Curtis Blades. Now we're starting to get a little bit of a mix going. But look here, right? 41 years old, fought in Russia a bunch, 12-1. Has a win, has one loss, and then a bunch of other wins as well. This is what I'm talking about. Just obviously not raw talent at 41 years old, but someone who is clearly competent at some level of MMA compared to what we have now with the spherical shapes that have got going on in the apex. We've got to stop that. We've got to stop the spherical shapes in the apex and start to get in some sort of level of V-taper and talent into the heavyweight division. The next person that I've picked up, Alexandre Maslov. 12-1 in MMA, 31 years old. I love this. I love a fighter, 12-1, 31 in MMA. I think he's just recently had a loss. Look at this. This is fucking beautiful, mate. Yes, this is beautiful. No, he's got a whole bunch of wins. I want him versus Jailton Almeida, and I'll tell you why. I want to know where he is. Is he just a stand and bang sort of a swinger? Has he be able to get some is he going to have get-ups when it comes to Jailton Almeida's takedowns? How is he going to go in the grappling? But also, at 31, I don't mind him coming in and losing straight away, because by 31 to 34, we can matchmake him nicely and get some extra wins out of him. And again, if we're looking at Tom Aspinall to be active every 6 months, I don't mind going in there. I want someone to go in there against Jailton Almeida who we have time to rebuild. Whereas some of the other guys, they're a little bit on the older end of the spectrum. We don't have time to rebuild them. So one of the younger ones, Alexander Maslov. He is the next one to go in there against Jailton Almeida and just start mixing shit up. And then lastly, coming up is from Australia, the big limb reaper, Randall Raymond. Right now, he's 38. So I think we got 3 years to make something happen with 14-3. with 14-3. He's been fighting in Hex Championships here in Melbourne in the heavyweight division and in the Urban Underground. I don't know, that's probably fucking Dan Hooker's backyard fight league. Who the fuck knows, right? But this is a mixed record. Oh no, that's his record. Yeah, he's been doing boxing as well. He's got some other boxing losses on here, but his MMA record, 14-3, which I think is great. 38 years old, that'll do, right? That'll do to go in there against Marcin Tybura. Get him in there against Marcin Tybura, you know. Start of the night, we got that pay-per-view coming up not a pay-per-view, we got that fight night coming up in Texas where it's Derek Lewis. Fucking get him in there. Kick off the fight night in Texas. An Aussie in Texas on the same sort of fans that are there to see Derek Lewis. Get him in there to sleep Marcin Tybura. And like I said, absolutely no apex for these guys. So there is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 brand new faces to the UFC heavyweight division, which doesn't sound like much. But again, when we're talking about a division that's only 29 people deep, these people are out there right now ready to be injected into the heavyweight division. And like I said, I'm trying to get Tom Aspinall fighting at least every 6 months. And I think I could do better than that because Tom Aspinall generally finishes his fights in the first round or two. So UFC 320, England versus France, yeah? Then UFC 326 in Miami. Tom Aspinall versus Alexander Volkov. Then UFC 329, International Fight Week 2006. Tom Aspinall versus... Has Jalen Almeida beaten up the new guys? Has Phil DeFries beaten his way up there? Has Dmitry Volkanov gotten 2 wins? You see, in only 9 months, you can already start to build some intrigue and interaction with the fans. And all you have to do is pay attention to the heavyweight division and just try and prune it and clip it and select it rather than just inviting a bunch of fats over to the apex and pointing the camera at them and seeing what happens. I think with that kind of marketing strategy, fan interaction, and actual contenders from around the world, and again, some of them can be older, some of them can be younger, but picking up actual heavyweight prospects can save the UFC heavyweight division in 12 months. And if some dickhead that does this in his spare time as a hobby can actually go out and look for talent and figure this shit out, the UFC should be fucking embarrassed. They should be embarrassed that some idiot could do this for free and they're paying people to actually manage their fucking roster. And the heavyweight division is... You got the top 5 that are generally good. So the heavyweight division is 24 fat cunts. Sort it out, UFC. That's it. That's the end of the video. Let me know what you think about my plans to save the UFC heavyweight division. Is it doable? Is it a farce? What do you reckon about it? Put it down there in the comments. Would you be interested in seeing a plan like this? Let me know about it. If this is your first time here, g'day, welcome. My name's Dougie. I make an MMA video every single day of the week, Monday through Friday, and I try and go live at least 3 times a week. So if you want to know when all that happens, hit that subscription button down there and the notification bell. Like the video if you like the video. And if you're one of the paying members, thank you so much, especially you, Eric. You're the best therapist in the game, and I'll see you all in the next video. See you boys. Bye.